Hello and welcome to Reality Check. This is a channel that cares for hearts and minds. Every week we have conversations surrounding mental health in the areas of parenting, marriage and relationships, and the workplace, and generally as a wholesome human being. My name is Rachel Mwine. I'm your host, and I'm joined by Dr. Evas Atwine, who is the founder for International Center for Mental Health and Family Care. She's also a trained therapist in marriage. She's a relationship coach, a life coach, and a marriage therapist. So if those are areas that you need support in, you have questions, or by the way, you don't have to have problems to see Dr. Evas.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
You could be going down a good path with your partner in your marriage, and you just want to create what are they called, guardrails. Yeah, and so it would be nice just to, make an appointment, come and see her, and just share with her what your journey has been like, and if there are areas that you need to be aware of, areas of contention, possible areas of contention. So I just thought that I should slip that in there, because we always imagine that we only have to see a therapist when there's trouble. And that's not entirely true. Welcome once again to our audience. We love your feedback. We appreciate it. And we thank you so much for week in, week out choosing Reality Check. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay, back to what we are talking about today. We are asking a question. Moving in, is it a good idea or not? So moving in, some people say cohabitation, but for purposes of this discussion, we're going to say moving in. Cohabitation or moving in is when a couple starts to live together without being legally married. Cohabitation is also not considered a marriage. It's not recognized by the law as a marriage. And so I thought that, expressing that context would also help our conversation today. So, Dr. Evas, welcome.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
You look amazing. I love the colors.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. So we're talking about moving in. We see this, let's call it a trend, couples deciding to start living together, but also, like I've mentioned, the law does not recognize it as a marriage, and so there are risks to this kind of relationship. And yet we still see consistently people making that same decision, even though they are not protected by the law. Why do you think that is?
Okay, so thank you once again for having me, and thank you, our viewers, and for the feedback you give us. And we are really pleased to know that these conversations are helpful to you. So why are people still moving in, even when the relationship is not protected, is not fully recognized? Actually, I was reading about this type of relationship.
Yes.
And I saw a number of how they are categorized.
Yeah.
Probably this answers what you're saying. Some of them are called money savers. So people get in to save money, and they want to pull resources together so that they can get to a point where they are ready and they get married.
Okay.
Right? Others want to test drive their relationship.
Yeah, that's probably more common.
That's more common. Yeah. And so they want to see, they want to know whether this will work or not. They want to get to know their partner very well before they can commit. Others are just in for just. They're actually called, what are they called? I saw they are called here and now.
This is what's happening
This
now.
is just, they have no sense of long term.
Good.
And they're just having fun. And I've met some of them who you ask after the relationship has
Crumbled.
Yeah, has not worked. So they come and they are hurting. Now, when they were getting together, they didn't know that they are doing what we call emotional investments. And these emotional investments need protection. So when the relationship fails, they are hurting. But then it's not uncommon to ask, what was your relationship goal?
Yes.
And so they check, they go like, wait a minute, what was it about? And they say, just for just. Yeah, so maybe I'll call them just for just relationships. But then we also have, by the way, relationships among the elderly, should I call them older people, who like pensioners.
Got it.
Yeah, pensioners, and who experience loneliness later on in life, and they need a partner. So most of these, we also find that category in that age group where people are just looking for companionship, and they are not really getting into making the relationship legal, you know, going through all the processes. And so I think those are some of the reasons that people are still getting together. I should tell you, I was also reading about this trend of relationships, and apparently there is a 60% increase in this type of relationships since the 1990s.
No way.
60%. One of the reports here was putting it at 72% of all couples are cohabiting, especially among the younger couples.
Got it.
Yeah, so it is an increasing trend, and we'll talk about it more. So the idea, what we are talking about is it a good idea? It's not a good idea? Yeah, so, but those are some of the reasons, you know, people wanting to save money. Now, I remember one more thing, especially which is here in our society, where it gets quite expensive and people can't afford the processes.
The
traditional functions.
Yes.
Because we have still gotten stuck in those functions, and I have lots of respect for that, because there's a reason why they were happening. By the way, apparently, those processes, those different steps were meant to secure the relationship.
Oh, were they?
Yes, because you're at every point, it's promoting accountability. You go to people's home, you show yourself there, they introduce you as this, you pay cows, or so many other things. I mean, some other places don't do cows, but those commitments that we do, they are meant to secure the relationship. But then they turn out very expensive. So some couples, when they are starting, they are not so sure that they can handle it is this, this, and this, and this. And much of it is really pricey, because like there is this particular couple I was talking to, they are going to get married. But the guy was asked to pay 20 cows, like 20 live cows.
Wow.
And then 10 million, what is it, Nkwatarugu or something, some in the traditional sense. And that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. The
That's
20 cows already is some good millions.
Yes. So when someone thinks about the whole process, they really feel like no one can do this. And I mean, for like starting couples, it's quite pricey.
Yeah.
And so those are some of the reasons why people really get together.
Yeah. And I know that in some quarters as well, marriage is overrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like, do we need a paper? Do we need that agreement and that covenant and all of that hula baloo in order for our love to be validated?
That's right. That's okay, and I'm sure that's why we're having this conversation. But just to say, at the start of this conversation, to say, look, love needs protection.
It does.
Yeah, love needs protection, but also, can I remind viewers that we are talking about a partnership. Any partnership, by its nature, has to be secured.
True.
Because you're dealing with humanity.
Yep.
And it's very, very painful. I mean, as we're talking, I just had, just in recent days, I've been talking to people who are crying now. Someone has been married 25 years. 25 years with 4 children, with 5 children. And a partner walks out on them. Not that it doesn't happen in married couples. It does as well. But we are talking a higher likelihood. Yeah, so just to say, look, don't settle for that. Every partnership needs protection.
Sure.
That's why we do memorandum of understanding. That's why we do agreements and all these things. Even when we have the best of relatives in our property, we have to do a tenancy agreement.
Yeah.
Now, why? Because we are dealing with humanity. Not that we're coming from a place of mistrust, but don't be fooled. Love needs protection for it to be fulfilling. Right? And we'll talk more about that. We'll talk
more about it. And I want to ask, for a couple that's considering this decision, and they're wondering, obviously, you know, when you're taking your relationship to the next level, you know that it's going to be exciting. Because maybe you've been seeing each other, you've been dating, and so when he visits, he has to go back home. When you visit, you have to go back to your place. But you're thinking, if we came together, oh, this would really be nice, and we'll be taking our relationship to the next level. Can you break down for us what couples can expect in terms of the impact on their relationship, both good and bad, if they choose to move in together? Yeah.
Okay, so it shouldn't sound like there are no successful cohabiting couples. I'm trying to
avoid the
avoid cohabitation because it feels like a label.
Yes.
But that's what it is, and we call it moving in, we call it anything, but don't worry about that. The thing is, the nature of the relationship. Number one, a relationship of that nature, maybe I should start from, there are certain principles, there are certain aspects that support a successful relationship. I should remind viewers that all of life is hinged on principles. There are principles that hold us together, that govern life. Now, those principles account for 90%, 98% of life, only 2% miracles. So life runs 98% on principles and 2% miracles. How we love miracles.
I know.
We go to all the churches looking for miracles, but
miracles,
apparently there are certain things, we have to do certain things for certain things to happen. Now, unfortunately, people think love doesn't need principles. No. Management of love
it has principles.
It has principles that govern it. So out of the many, I'm going to pull out two that are very important for a successful relationship. Number one is commitment.
Okay.
Commitment, by its nature, invokes emotional investment. Right? When we commit to something, we direct resources towards it. Right? When you start a project, you go, probably we discussed the issue of finances in one of our episodes. And I remember this expert tell us that just save some or start an investment. When you start an investment, you probably have never realized that then you get disciplined. You don't just spend carelessly. So when we commit in a relationship, we direct both material resources, but also emotional resources. So it helps you to get disciplined, to get focused. You no longer are looking here, looking there. We tend to get focused. That's very important. It's important for our discipline. Now, half commitment is no commitment.
No, it's not.
Which is characteristic of cohabitation. Right? Because you're in, one leg is in, another one is out. Because you're testing, you're not so sure. I was looking at the success rate, for instance, or failure rate. Let me talk about failure rate. I saw that failure rate, and this is science. There are so many studies that have been done. The recent one was done in Uganda in 2020 about marriages and relationships. And there is a 30 to 50% failure rate in these relationships. And this is rooted in lack of commitment or half commitment. Because you're in, you're trying to check, am I in? We are trying, we are doing. Now, again, it also depends on why you got together.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it's very important to have commitment. When we commit to something, just like we say, where there is a will, there is a way.
Yeah.
Right? So those relationships lack full commitment.
Yes.
Number two, which is killer, is security. Now, I'm sure we'll discuss relational security. Relationships need to be secure. People need to be secure. This is a big investment where you've not just put in money or anything. You have put your life. Your entire life.
Yes.
You're saying, everything I have, I give to you. I'm here for you. Where you take me, take me.
I will go.
Now, that, you cannot just push your resources into something and they're not secured. Right? People who use loans, you don't just go to the bank and get their money. No.
You need some sort of
they
security.
give you you have to give security.
Yep.
And so relational security is a problem in cohabiting couples. So what happens? Every day you wake up to this unfinished business. Am I safe? Am I? Now, let me also remind viewers that these intimate relationships are such a huge risk generally.
Yep.
Because all of life is a risk.
True.
Everything in life is a risk. But relationships, intimate relationships, are such a huge risk. Why? Because you have met someone, you've not grown up with this person, you're building trust, you're saying, should I trust him, should I not, should I trust her, should I not? Yeah? And just imagine, in that sense, you just give your life to someone you're not so sure. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
So those two important things, there are so many other principles, please remember, but these two are for a core. Yeah. They are actually called foundational principles for successful relationships. Now, these are missing in cohabiting couples, right? So when you are in, and especially I speak to ladies, when you get in and then you start wondering, if he smiles, you think they're going to. If he doesn't, you're not so sure whether this is not going to lead to a breakup, and yet you're already there. Maybe you've already had children. You understand? And so it's very, very tough. Yeah. So that kind of insecurity is a recipe for mental health challenges.
Got it.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
People have anxiety. Actually, again, these reports, a lot of research has been done, and there is high levels of anxiety in cohabiting couples, and that's where it's rooted. Insecurity. You lack relational security. People haven't seen you, you're not so sure, you don't have anything. And of course, when you get married to someone, there is so many other things. There are finances, there are all that. So once you are insecure, it's tough.
Yeah.
So mental health issues. Number two, marital relational happiness. We are also seeing a higher likelihood of unhappiness and unsatisfaction or dissatisfaction in cohabiting couples compared to married couples, right?
Got it.
So that is also something to consider. Is it something you want to go for? Because if you are insecure and you're anxious, you cannot have happiness. No. Anxiety and happiness cannot be in the same heart. You see? Yeah. So that's something also to consider. Number three is we are seeing a higher divorce rate in cohabiting couples, maybe again aligning with resonating with the failure rate I already talked about. But divorce rates amongst cohabiting couples is way higher. Matter of fact, it is 4 times higher than in married couples. You see? Yeah. So that is something that has to be considered. Now, you don't just put this to chance and say, for us, we love each other, we're okay. Just to know that anytime any of us can be a statistic.
That's true.
You see? We are also seeing higher rates of domestic violence
in cohabiting
cohabiting couples than it is in married couples. Yeah. Again, it's rooted in insecurity, lack of commitment. But also test driving.
Yeah.
Test driving, let me tell you why there is a higher failure rate. Because any relationships generally are a learning platform.
Yes.
So when we start a relationship, it grows. If someone has been married 5 years, 10 years, you know that relationships grow.
True.
But now if you get into a relationship where you're saying, let me test this person and see if, no, that means you're disregarding the principle of learning and having this relationship help you to grow. Marriage and relationships, they are such a wonderful platform for character improvement.
That's true.
You see? So if you start it with a view of, let me just see if this person is good, and if they are not, I run away, then you lose out on that opportunity.
And how much time do you need? A year, 2 years?
It doesn't make sense because we are always in the process of self-improvement.
This is true.
So if you tag your marriage, if you just condition this partnership to giving you only good things, and the moment it gives you a bad thing or a challenge, human nature hates discomfort.
Discomfort, yes.
And our natural tendency is to run away from challenges. So if anytime you hit a snag, you face a challenge in your marriage, remember you have conditioned your brain to remind you that if you see a challenge, then you run away. You know this is not the right person.
Yes.
So that's why we have people move on, move on, move on, move in, move on, move on. We call it 3 moves. Move in, move out, move on. And so we have people on the move.
Yeah.
And they lack an opportunity. They miss out of the opportunity to have relationships press them to a point that they can improve.
Yeah.
Character improvement does not happen from a standpoint of comfort.
No.
No.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. It doesn't. And so in relation, we learn to apologize, we learn humility, we learn negotiation, we learn all these things because you've allowed your relationship to nurture you. So once you're in and you're just test driving for purposes of knowing how this person is, know their beautiful side, know their ugly side, what are you doing? And remember, you've already invested resources.
Yep.
Now, one other point I think I'll mention to you we are seeing is the danger of emotional depletion. So emotional depletion happens because when we attach in relationships, we attach, then we are supposed to continue to nurture that attachment. But every time we detach, then there is so much pain, and I'll talk about broken heart syndrome. So when we detach, then we go away with pain. And I always illustrate this, I should have brought this. I illustrate this with seal tape. So when you attach seal tape on your body and you make it really attach, get it off, it goes with hair.
Which causes some pain.
Which causes some pain. Yes. And so we feel pain, but also it loosens.
Yes. It's not as
it's not
sticky.
As sticky as it is when you put it on another person.
Yeah.
So when I put it on I remove it from, I put it on you, it's not going to attach as much as it attached before. And then you detach again. By the time you get to the 3rd, 4th, 5th person, you can't attach.
No.
So let me explain this. Now that's what happens when we invest emotions and attachment to someone. We detach, we go with pain. So we are heartbroken. We have pain, and we also form a perception because we get traumatized. And so we move and go to another person. We attach, we go like, and sometimes we don't even resolve that.
The other attachment.
No, so we go with the whole baggage and then take it to another relationship. And we are angry, but now we are here, we are saying, oh, at least you. But now this person you have also has their weak points.
Yeah.
Let's assume it doesn't work. So you detach. You get to another, now you have pain from here, pain from a second one, you go to a third person. By the time you get to a fourth person, you're broken. So that's where we have what we call broken heart syndrome. So some people are pained and they are broken. So they can't even get, so that when they see a woman or a man, they say that gender.
Yes. That's where phrases like that come from.
That's where they come from. Because they are hurting, they are traumatized, you know, and that trauma cannot allow you to be a good, even if you got the best partner in the whole world, it cannot, it can't allow you to attach and trust. So you look and you're like,
you're always suspicious.
You're suspicious. And so you always looking for signs that this person is likely to be like your partner number 3 or number 2. Or it's dangerous. So that's why people can't have relational happiness, because they are ever suspicious. Having said that, there are those that work. Now, if you ask me, is there any advantage in that? If people are mature enough and they know why they got together and they are true to their promises, they get in and they say, we are giving ourselves 2 years and let's pull everything together, let's work like this. Even if we don't get this, we are going to do that. That relationship has predictability. So I wake up, I don't have to say, oh, now it's, when is 2 years coming? No. I know that the 2 years will come. And we know what we are up to. And then you're also, we're not sneaky, we're not crazy, we are focused. Now, such succeed, but they are very few. Very few. Very few. Because you see, if someone gives you something and says it has a 50% failure rate, man, do you go into that?
It's not very assuring.
You know, it's not reassuring. And so that's, I mean, I always ask, if someone gave you treatment and said it has 50% failure, you know, like people, half of the people who take this medicine die. Would you take it?
No, absolutely not.
You see that? And so we need to take it so serious. And I want to remind viewers that relational security is important. And it's always embedded in the processes. Please don't disregard the power of processes. Processes are important. You don't just do. No, you have to go through the processes. Those always think about what these processes are for. Why did they come up with an introduction, for instance? Why do we do Kuchala? Why? Is it just to show the gomeses and the busuts? And no, it is meant, there's something around that event. It is to protect the relationship. It's accountability. You know, why do we do weddings? I've had people say, that wedding, do I have to? There are spiritual and physical benefits of that relationship. I mean, if you wish, God is witness to that relationship. That's big. That's a big spiritual aspect. But also, all these people that have witnessed, of course, I've seen some people say, I have my life, I have to live my life. I have to live my life. But you see, all those processes are super important. It's accountability. Is accountability important? That's an important principle in relationships. Check out a relationship that has no accountability. It struggles. You know, a relationship where someone just sneaks in and they say, who saw me?
And that's the way I am.
And that's who I am. So it's very important for us to know that when we talk about marriage and securing your marriage, we're not saying you don't have love. We're not saying you don't have enough love. Right? Even partners who kill each other later on, they loved each other at some point. At some point. And so let's not disregard the importance of principles. Principles, accountability, security, trust, all those are commitment, responsibility, you know. For me to know that we've taken somebody's child, that's important. I was talking to a couple, and where the lady is saying, I'm out of the relationship, and I'm done, and please don't tell my parents, don't tell anyone. These are married in church and wedding and all.
Why didn't she want her parents?
And she doesn't realize that actually when she was being given away, she was handed over to this family.
Yes.
In our culture, we don't hand over our daughters to a child.
To a child, no.
No, we give them to a parent.
Yeah.
That's accountability.
Yeah.
That's commitment.
Yeah.
That's huge responsibility.
Yeah.
So all those principles are very important in relationships. So when you have a relationship that doesn't consider commitment, security, trust, responsibility, what else? A number of all that.
Yeah.
Accountability. Come on, that's quite a big risk.
It's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. And so I think what I hear you saying is the value of principles and processes.
Yes.
And I think because of the era that we live in, the social media era, people might think it's just an opportunity to show off, or an opportunity to say, I visited so-and-so's parents and maybe we took a car, or we gave a whole house, to her parents. But there is a significance that is often overlooked, which is the idea of accountability. I dare say actually in some circles, a rite of passage for a man.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, to say that now I have come of age, enough for me to take on a woman and create a family together with her.
That's responsibility.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
That's responsibility. And I think I've ever mentioned, let me repeat it here, that one of the reasons marriages are fading is that we don't give it a long-term view. No, we don't look into the future. We don't zoom into the future. We just are here. But you see, when two people start a family, they are starting their own generation.
True.
That's big.
It's huge.
I was looking at statistics that marriages that start as moving in,
yes.
moving in.
Come we stay.
Come we stay. They are likely, 80% of them are likely to keep in that state. Only 20% are likely to make it official. And it's painful.
Interesting.
It's very painful.
And I feel like that leads me to my question, because there are women, maybe and men, who might make the argument that if we don't move in together, if I say no or turn down this opportunity, he may never give me a ring. He may never fully commit. This is his opportunity, like you said, to test the waters, to see if I'm actually wife material. I don't know why as women we are quick to give away things before their time.
I know.
But, that argument that if I don't do it, then, there are maybe 3 other girls who are waiting in line and they are ready to move in and wash his clothes and play house, What would you say to a
that's
woman?
rooted in insecurity.
Yeah.
You see, that's also rooted in low self-esteem. If you're marrying someone and you have to prove yourself, that's not a good relationship. If you're going to trap them.
Wow, yes.
Because if you're going to have a good... Now, I always tell people that getting married is not the most important thing.
No, it's
No,
not.
staying married and being married happily is the most important thing.
This is true.
You see? So don't just jump in because there are so many people coming out. Right?
Yes.
I was looking at our marriage statistics in Uganda. This is in Uganda here, not outside
Not far.
countries.
Yeah.
Our divorce rate has tripled,
No way.
right? Over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
It has tripled. Yeah? But that shouldn't worry you. So we are now at 12% divorce rate in Uganda. But listen, 77% of the married couples were unhappy.
Wow.
Unhappy.
Yeah.
Now, and lonely. Now, you would rather be lonely as a single person than lonely in marriage. Loneliness in marriage is a killer.
It's terrible.
It's a killer. It's
Yeah.
painful.
Yeah.
we have very high depression rates in marriage. Right? Does that make sense?
It does.
Now, divorce, now so being married, and we only have 11% people who are happily married.
Yes.
How sad. And I always say, let's try as much as possible to up this statistic. So it's an irony that we have high depression rates in marriage. This is a relationship that has the highest capacity for happiness.
And fulfillment.
And fulfillment.
Yes.
But what is happening? People are sad. So I'm answering your question. Is it a good idea to trap someone? And I will outrightly say, please don't. Because number one, it's a sign of low self-esteem. You have no confidence. You lose negotiation power. I'm going to talk about power dynamics. But also, you lose chances of being respected. Let me tell you, mutual respect in relationships is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And please hear me out. Mutual respect.
Respect.
Right? At some point we'll be talking about how men crave respect. But I'm talking about mutual respect.
Yeah.
Don't lose your dignity because you're trying to trap someone. You think that person will ever trust you? Will ever respect you? And do you need this in marriage later on? 100%. 100%. Right? So it is not advisable. But let me talk about power dynamics.
Please.
Now, most of the time we forget that, by the way, relationships are about power dynamic.
Power dynamic, yes.
Every time you lose power, you get sad.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And in relationships where power, much of the power lies with one person, that's not healthy.
No.
That's why people are depressed.
Yeah.
So you can't negotiate. You can't talk. You can't. But you fear. You fear. Now, I always remind ladies that every time, because it's mostly ladies that move on.
Yes.
Do we have men that move in?
Move it? No, very rarely.
I think ladies are the ones that move in.
Typically.
So let me explain this. Every time you move in, you lose power. You lose power. So every time we give in to someone's interests, we lose power. And we don't just lose it and lose it, we give it to the other person. We top up their power. And they can use that power anytime they want.
Yes.
So let me relate it to what we are talking about. Every time a lady moves in, and they were probably negotiating timelines for their relationship and all that. The moment you move in, you're giving your power to the other person to determine when.
Yes.
So that's why when they get in, they start negotiating. Oh, let's go. I need to introduce you.
Yes.
Who introduces who?
She introduces
She introduces the man.
Yes.
And so she said, let's make this official. Let's do that. Because now you've lost your power. Now you're begging.
You're begging. It's no longer negotiating.
It's no longer negotiating.
Yeah.
And it just reminds me of a couple that I met with years back. And the lady they were still discussing and negotiating, and the guy was saying, I don't have money, I need to first finish my house. And then this girl got scared and said, this boy, I think he's going to run away from me. She tricks him, gets pregnant. Now when she gets pregnant, it gets worse. This man is not moved at all. And so he says, I told you that I don't have money. I have to finish the house.
Yes.
In 3 years, she's pregnant. Now she remembers that her values are compromised, but also the family could not allow her to stay with someone.
Oh.
So she's begging, can we do at least the traditional ceremony?
Yes.
The guy says, I have no money. This girl is extremely depressed because she's lost it. And now she's threatening. But now when she's trying to threaten the guy, she remembers she's
pregnant.
She's pregnant.
You're going to need him.
You know, you're going to need him, but also now you're running away with a child. Then now what?
Where?
So when I was talking to her, I said, you see, now, because you have given him your power, now you have to be humble. Because now you can't negotiate.
So eating humble pie.
You see, now you have to eat a humble pie and ask him and convince him and let him see your point, because now you yell, he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's how we lose power.
Yeah.
So that's how now, even when you have a point, you need to be super assertive, you remember, if I be, now what?
My change is
You
mine.
see? So before you know, now you have child number 1, number 2, number 3. Now you have to be very humble.
Extremely humble.
And what does that mean?
Yeah.
You've lost power. That's how some people plunge into extreme sadness and depression, because, and one of the other things I need to explain to viewers is that men, the psychology of men is that they believe in completed tasks. When a woman moves in, to a man, psychologically, that task is accomplished.
It's complete.
So it's no longer horribly compelling. He doesn't
get
find
married,
it compelling, extremely compelling, to go through the processes. So when you move, you made it comfortable for him. And I have nothing against men, my brothers. But I'm just explaining this.
Yeah.
And that's how they settle. So even when before you moved in, he felt like he could do this and maybe push himself. But now you're in his house. And in his brain, this activity is accomplished. Now, for a woman, it becomes an emergency.
Yes.
But the other person, so you're in different mental spaces.
Yeah, yeah.
And that can be really dangerous. You see? Now, that's how women become nagging. So a man wakes up, when you're happy, he says, but there's something you haven't done for me. He's like, can we be happy?
Yeah.
In his head.
Ruining it. You're ruining our happiness.
So you're operating from different mental
Yeah.
spaces, and it can be absolutely dangerous because you're not together.
Yeah.
So it is really sad, and it can be a bad idea. And I do remember when one time we were talking to our investment coach, and he advised that if you want to build your dream house, it's not a good idea to start with a boys' quarter, because you can easily keep in the boys' quarter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because priorities change. Yeah, so that's how men's priorities change. By the way, even ladies, they change, but then at a certain point they feel insecure. Now, in that relationship, who is mostly insecure? The woman. Who is mostly at risk? The woman. The men also, but the woman. Remember, you're going in half-hearted, and so it can be a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, you keep hinting on mental health, and I want you to expound on it a bit more even as we wrap up the show, in what is likely to happen to your mental health. You mentioned anxiety, you mentioned extreme sadness, and what in this kind of arrangement is likely to happen to your mental health should you choose to walk down this path. And then also, I guess, speak to the woman who is already there. And she's like, Dr. Evas, you've spoken a bit late. I'm already in this situation. What can I do? You talked about humbling yourself. So I guess expound on that as we bring this to a close.
That's right. So mental health, I've already mentioned a few, that anxiety, because uncertainty is a recipe for anxiety.
Got it.
Human nature loves predictability. So every time we can't predict situations, we get anxious. And so for those that are already there or are contemplating getting in, please just know that that's a likelihood. But then also mental health issues. Of course, I've talked about domestic violence. And of course, this and high degree of conflicts. Yeah, so they tend to be ravaged, such relationships tend to be ravaged by, because you see, everything is related to everything else. Yeah, because if I'm insecure, every day I'm worried whether you're with me or not. Plus, people tend to get like the highest rate of unfaithfulness because they are testing. And so all these conditions or factors for poor mental health.
Yep.
Because did I mention that relational health comes from security and predictability.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? So our mental health gets terribly affected because you're worried, you're anxious, and you're begging, you're in a conflict-ravaged relationship.
Yeah.
Not that all of them are, but most of them are. So this is something that is a problem. The other area, by the way, that brings mental health issues is lack of clarity. When your relationship lacks clarity and commitment, even other resources. It's not uncommon to meet people who are not so sure whether to put their financial resources together. So issues like teamwork, things that build a couple together, teamwork where you're putting in your finances, you're sure that you're in, but now you're here, you're not so sure whether you're in or out. And that's, you find that people are hiding money. Not that in married relationship they don't.
It happens.
It happens, but it's higher in these relationships. So people are hiding money, and that's also, it becomes a problem for, that's where most violence happens.
Yes.
And so like mental health, we are talking about stress. Stress triggers in that relationship are so many. There are so many stress points because there is a lack of clarity, there is a lack of predictability, there is a lack of security, there is a lack of commitment. There is a higher chance of being perverted because you're thinking you could get a better deal outside. And indeed, people get into that. You know, that's why last time we talked about so many, the trend of baby mamas.
Yes.
But also baby papas. Are they called baby papas?
Baby daddies.
Baby daddies. There are so many now. And I think you're seeing that the trend is becoming that. All this is coming from
these kinds of relationships. Yes.
And remember now there are children involved.
Yes, which complicates it
even more.
Yeah.
And for ladies, which complicates it more because now when it doesn't mean that they can't get married, but when you have children, it makes the relationship and chances of connecting with another person more complicated.
Yeah.
You see, it's not impossible, but it's more complicated. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so those are people who are still contemplating getting in, and for those who are in, maybe they are already experiencing what we are talking about. Yeah. So what are they to do? As I mentioned, number one, maybe I should appeal to men.
Please.
Yeah. Let me appeal to men and say, please, just know that that person you have can be actually a good partner for you. You don't have to be hoping from one person to another. Because a relationship is made.
Yes.
You don't just find it. No, you make it. The relationship that you want can be made with the person you have. So for you to commit is important. Now, it is important for you, for your health, but also for the health of the person you have. Yeah. I always remind people that the partner you have, that's your immediate social and emotional ecosystem.
Yep.
You see? Now, if you do not, if that ecosystem is not healthy, what do you think you're getting? You're living with an unhappy partner. That's dangerous for you. And if you have children involved, that's even worse.
For the kids. Yeah.
For the kids. So I want to appeal to men that it is so important to prioritize making this relationship work and official. Secure. Is it secure?
Yes.
Yeah. Try. Don't just disregard and say she's just nagging. Relational security is important. So please prioritize it. Don't first build, then put up apartments, then put up something else, and you say, that's not an issue.
Yeah.
Or she's
we're
just
already together anyway.
Don't you know that I love you?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
No.
but relational security. Please secure that relationship for her and for you. Because once she's happy, that happiness is going to rub back on you. Yeah. So those are my brothers. But let me talk to ladies who are already there. I want to emphasize the issue of, please don't threaten.
Don't issue ultimatums.
Don't issue ultimatums. You can still, the dynamics change. Your communication, not that you're on bunkenke or, you know, but it is important for you to know that now that you have given power to someone, for you to get it back, it's going to require a bit of humility, a bit of negotiation. Yeah. Now you can't put your terms straight and say, no, but you have to do this. No, it can also work. Probably it's an opportunity for you to learn to humble yourself and take it easy. But also to know that these relationships, once you handle it well, it can actually work. It can be fulfilling. Yeah. And if you're already there, probably you understand your partner more than a person outside. So there is that advantage, by the way. Yeah. So it's not all lost. We've focused more on the negative. But that also, you understand your partner, and I always talk about relational intelligence. Yeah. You've heard me talk about advising people not to marry strangers. So if you're already there, you have that advantage. Yep. You know,
you know him.
You know him. Yeah. You know him. And you know him not with the view of running away, having seen the negative, the socks thrown everywhere and wherever women complain about. But you know him. You know how he reacts. You know how he... Now, that's important for you to position yourself, to know how to work with your partner, not to manage them, but to work with them. And so don't think that's a disadvantage. It's a huge advantage. Yeah. Definitely, not everyone who needs to know their partner has to move in. No.
That's true.
No. Yeah. But you who is already there, it's an advantage. Calm down, make this relationship work. Yep. Make it work. Yeah. And of course, we assume that it's only men who disappoint women. No. Sometimes
women as well.
Women as well. They test and they go like, no, I think I deserve better.
Yes.
Yeah. They say I deserve better. Yeah. But I want to tell you, no. If you have that partner, that's a material you can work with to really make a beautiful marriage. Yeah. Yes. So just you need to be a little more humble. Yeah. And actually, Rachel, to say, relationships require that we plant what we desire. So if you're there, be trusted. Yeah. Be trustworthy. Yeah. I mean, don't prove yourself, but be a good human being. Sure. Yeah, and so this partner will also find it easy to commit now that you're already in.
Yeah, that's very true. I think we spend a lot of time and energy trying to make the other person what we want them to be, that now we are looking like the villain. Yeah. Yeah, we are nagging, we are angry all the time, we are sad all the time. And so this person is even wondering, do I really want to marry this person?
That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to make a case for yourself, but the way you're going about it, because now you've lost your power and you no longer have negotiating power, you decide, let me either issue ultimatums or talk to all his buddies and make sure that they understand that
they put him on pressure.
Put him on pressure. Yeah, and I really like what you said, that just be the person that you would want.
Be the world that you really want.
Be trustworthy, be loving, be kind, be empathetic.
Yeah, be calm.
Be calm, yes.
Be calm.
Even in the chaos.
Be calm.
Be calm.
And by the time you make the relationship official, you'll have developed a character.
This is true.
That's it, because character develops through practice.
This is true.
Yeah, so you have that advantage.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Evas. I think this has ended on a wonderful note. I don't know if we have answered the question. I feel like we have attempted to. We've given you both sides. We've given you statistics. We've given you research. The emotional side, the mental health side, all of which, is important to consider even before you make this kind of decision. So let us know in the comments what you thought about this conversation. Is there an aspect of this conversation that we could have tackled? Let us know. And we can always bring back this issue this is not the end of it. We can't have spoken about it in its entirety. Let us know in the comments if there's anything else you'd like us to discuss right here on Reality Check, and maybe who would be good for the show. We are happy to have guests as well. We love your feedback and we love hearing from you. More importantly, do not forget to subscribe, join the family, and hit that notification bell so you know when we have a new episode. From myself and from Dr. Evas, it's bye-bye. Thank you for watching. Until next week.